Welcome to the Ottawa Business Journal's live broadcast of Highly Skilled and Ready to Work. I'm Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Thank you for joining us again today. Yes, the economy is softening somewhat these days, but that does not appear to be a large factor when it comes to talent recruitment and retention. Local companies seem eager to source and onboard new talent, and Ottawa's blessed to have many post-secondary institutions. Today, we turn our attention to Algonquin College. At Algonquin, partnerships are at the heart of its ability to deliver talent to both private and public sector. Algonquin wants to ensure that you get the highly skilled, work-ready employees that you need them when you need them. On today's show, you will hear about how these partnerships help ensure students are learning what they need to know, how the college knows what to offer, and also how to prepare students in a rapidly changing world. We have several guests on today's show, including a VP Advancement and Strategy at Algonquin College, a senior manager from PCL Construction, one of the largest construction companies in Canada, and a big player in the telecommunications sector right here, a campus manager from Nokia. So let's take a look at our agenda and what the next 30 minutes holds. In part one, we'll be talking about how Algonquin Colleges partners with those employers. Hopefully, many of you are listening here today. In part two, we'll talk to our private sector partners and talk about how Algonquin is responding to market needs when it comes to recruitment. And in part three, we'll talk about how Algonquin College grads are work ready. Throughout this, we'll be looking for questions from our live audience. So if you are watching on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, you can pose your questions on the platform you're at, and we'll be monitoring those for comments. So let's get right down to business and introduce our first guest. He is a past 40 under 40 recipient. I knew him for many years before that. It was great to recognize him with that honor. And I noted that in 2021, he also received the Professional of the Year award by the Council for Advancement and Support of Education, also called CASE. Here is Algonquin College's Vice President of Advancement and Strategy. Please welcome Mark Savenkoff. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Michael. Good to meet you again.
Yes. We've known each other for several years, and it's wonderful to be with you here, and great to see what you're doing to propel Algonquin College to new heights, Mark, particularly when it comes to these types of partnerships. So let's start off with there. You've got a very unique position, a senior position at Algonquin College. What are you hearing when you speak to the local business community?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think for us, it's all about our mission, which is to transform the hopes and dreams of our students into lifelong success. And it really is through our partnerships with industry and community leaders that we can help make that happen. So in my portfolio of advancement and strategy, we like to think that if we're envisioning a future without industry partnership, without proud graduates or without donor support, then we're not dreaming big enough. And we're proud to recognize the strong history that the college has had in securing those industry and community partnerships, and excited about what that next chapter will be for us, for our learners, and for the communities we serve.
You know, it really is the secret sauce of colleges, Mark. And, you know, everyone's looking to do partnerships these days with the private sector, but this is like built into the DNA of colleges, right? Like it is where they started. And I think it's really key to the college's future.
It is. And in fact, even earlier this year, we wanted to reconfirm what we thought we knew. And so we issued a partner engagement survey. And through that survey, we're thrilled that over 1,000 responses came in. And as we really reflect on the findings of that survey, there are three main themes that stood out. So one was an interest in us continuing to focus on the transfer of knowledge. To your point, as a post-secondary institution, as a place where a lot of thinking and learning happens, how can we continue to ensure that that knowledge transfer is top of mind? Whether it's us transferring knowledge to our community and our industry partners through our students and through our graduates, or whether it's them transferring knowledge to us through their involvement in perhaps the development of academic curriculum or their role on program advisory committees. Sorry.
Yeah, you just jump in. I'll keep on rolling there. I didn't mean to cut you off, Mark.
No problem. I was going to say that the second theme, and then happy to talk about any and all of these in more detail. The second theme is about really how can we do that in a way that does support our students and our learners, but also supports the communities that we serve. And so that's really important for us as well when we look at the size of the institution that we are and those who we partner with to ensure we're doing that in a way that makes sense. And lastly, which we're going to talk about, I know a lot today here, is around employability and the talent pipeline. So how can we ensure, again, that our students and our graduates are meeting the needs of industries so that they can jump right in upon graduation or throughout their studies and make a big difference, make an impact?
One of the things that I always find fun in talking to post-secondaries, Mark, is that there's always things changing. You're introducing new programs, you're refining things, you're making new strategic partnerships. Can you give us a sense of what's new at Algonquin? You're obviously, I speak with your president once in a while. He tells me you're mostly back on campus and things are getting back to sort of the new normal. But from an employer's perspective, what should we know about what's happening at Algonquin these days?
So many exciting things, but to your point, more and more of our learners are back on campus as of this fall. Some were throughout the course of these past few years, but there is a certain energy and an excitement with having more people on all of our campuses. And that energy and that excitement, that activity is really what helps drive us forward. So thinking about our programs, to your point, as an example, we do have over 300 programs of study in a variety of ways. So whether it's on campus, whether it's a multimodal delivery or virtual delivery to meet the needs of our learners and their learning styles. We also, of course, focus on the different programs and all the credentials that we offer. If it's certificates, if it's diplomas, even some of our degree programs. So we have, for example, a Bachelor in Business Administration with a focus on trades management that is increasingly of interest to some of our learners, and very excited about new program offerings, including our Bachelor of Engineering with a focus on automation and robotics, which is set to launch here next spring.
It's fascinating to see all the changes taking place at colleges and how there is such a tight relationship with the private sector. It's really something. So, Mark, I think we're going to put you on pause here, so to speak, and we're going to move on to part two. So we'll take you off screen, Mark, and we'll see you as we're wrapping up the show. In part two, as discussed, we're going to talk about how Algonquin College is meeting the market needs when it comes to labor. And we've got two fantastic guests lined up here for you today. Both of them work for major Ottawa employers. We'll start off by introducing the campus manager from Nokia. Here is Linda Krebs. Hey, Linda.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Good. The second time we've talked about Algonquin.
That's right.
We did so, I don't know if it was months or years ago. I've lost track in the pandemic. Who the heck knows how time is passing? But thank you for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And our second guest is the Vice President and District Manager of PCL Constructors Canada. Here is Paul Knowles. Hello, Paul. Oh, we'll get you off mute. There we go.
There we go. Hello, Michael. Great to join you, and Linda, you as well.
Very excited to have PCL on board. My goodness, PCL is doing a lot of important work right here in our city, Paul. So thank you for your time today. So we're just going to start off, Linda and Paul, with a general question to better understand what you think your recruitment challenges are. Linda, we'll start with you. Nokia, giant global player in telecommunications, big footprint out in Canada North. Tell us about what your challenges are.
You know, it's an interesting question because essentially we all know that there's a war for talent, right? There's a need for employers who are work ready. The timeliness is extremely important. We need staff now to essentially tackle some of the problems. There's a talent shortage. Obviously with the pandemic, things have also expedited and there's a shift in terms of the recruiting focus. And so there's more hybrid work that's available. That means there's a lot less, more competition in terms of the labor market because essentially employees could work anywhere. across the globe, right? And so with that, there's the challenges that are associated with that. And then also, too, in addition to that, there's also recruiting with diversity, equity, and inclusion in mind, which has also posed a new challenge that we've never necessarily seen before in the labor market, right? So, yeah.
It's quite fascinating, Linda. When I'm hearing you speak, I'm getting a better sense of all the challenges that are faced. Not only kind of those post-pandemic challenges, but there's a little bit of economic uncertainty. I just want to check in with you before we go to Paul. So even with some of this economic uncertainty in the air, Nokia still is hiring in Ottawa. Can we be clear on that?
Yes, absolutely, Michael. We are definitely hiring and will be hiring a lot. I'm going to put a plug in terms of the announcement that happened probably about a month ago. We've made commitments to hire hundreds of not only new grads, but professionals as well as students over the next coming years. And we are still hiring right now, right? So that's
great.
good.
That's great. Yeah, Nokia is driving a lot of growth in Canada North. Exciting to see those plans and all of you in the news. Paul, let's bring you into the conversation. When I'm thinking of PCL, the similarity might be with Nokia is you're both in need of very skilled workers, I would think. But anyway, Paul, give me your sense of what the challenges you're facing PCL right here in Ottawa.
Well, Michael, our biggest challenge is very simply we need more people. The construction market is so busy here right now, and we're projecting that it's going to be busy for the next 10 years. And there's some really great and amazing opportunities out there. And you mentioned it when you introduced me. Ottawa's got a lot of pretty cool stuff that we're building right now, and we look, those massive projects need people to build them, and we're really challenged on within our company of finding and developing project superintendents and project managers and those sort of roles. But even more as an industry, we're going to be challenged with shortage of trade workers and people like that. So it's going to be a big push for the next few years. And as I think about it, and I think about how construction kind of works, you move around and you move to the work often. And what's unique about the world right now and about our country is the construction markets are busy everywhere, and so it's not that the help is not going to be able to come from other parts of our country. We're really going to have to develop that from within the city and grow it organically. And so that's where this topic becomes really, really important to us right now.
I've heard it said, Paul, by some that we're in a golden age of development in Ottawa. So, if you think of what the city has undertaken from an LRT, light rail transit perspective, when you think of the once in a lifetime renovation to the parliamentary district, maybe you could just expand a little bit on what some of those big projects are, by the way, Paul, that PCL is involved with.
Sure. So you mentioned the one center block is a huge one that we're involved with, and just an amazing opportunity for everybody that's working there to be able to see and be a part of the history of Canada. So that's a big one. We're involved, as you mentioned, in the OLRT. We're building some projects there, building some of the stations, and a new one we started is the Ottawa Public Library down in the Breton Flats, which is an exciting build, and Library Archives is a part of that project. Boy, I could just keep listing them. We're excited. There's a big hospital project coming to this city. There's our list of potential projects it's exciting, but it's a little scary because we want to be able to satisfy and help and these are all really important projects for our community. They're helping meet our community needs, and we want to be a part of developing those. And it's just we need to have the people to do that, because we don't want to not deliver on those projects, and that's simply tied to our people.
You took the words out of my mouth, Paul. Like, literally, these are projects that will forever transform Ottawa. And we're not talking about 5 years or 10 years. We're probably talking about decades and decades. The city will no longer be the same city when some of these projects. So what a fascinating opportunity to work for PCL, Paul, and have kind of that type of impact on a city. Linda, I want to come back to you. And so we've kind of defined the challenge and the need, that a urgent need from both of you to continue recruiting, to bring on people. Tell me a little bit about how you work with Algonquin College. So I think, Linda, you're working quite directly with them to identify talent and onboard them, but tell us more of that story, Linda.
So part of my role is, obviously managing all the students in Canada. And Nokia, we've hired, well over, just within this year alone, over 450 students across Canada. A huge portion of that is actually from Algonquin College. And so, hiring them on as a co-op or a student intern, for example. And then in addition to that, then we're looking at our new grad positions and pipelining them into our full-time employees. And so we've got programs in place that have newly launched to, basically take any student who's about to graduate, essentially promote them into our new grad positions up to 1 year in advance before their graduation date, and promote them so that they can continue to stay on with our organization. And then looking at the new grad community as well too, in terms of retention, and having some of my colleagues are working on something called the New Professionals Program, where they have new initiatives to build new grad communities and have that type of engagement. There's learning and growth development and opportunities there. They're basically our student and new grads from not only like Algonquin College, but from this early talent population are our future leaders, essentially, right? And so this is kind of how we've been able to integrate and work with Algonquin College to sort of supplement some of these new talent, or generate talent for the future workforce.
And I know, Linda, if you were to, there's jobs across all sorts of job descriptions across Nokia that you're looking to staff. But if you were to think of some of the urgent ones, so let's say there's a business person or a parent of children, and they're saying, "Hey, Johnny or Sue, here's the program you should go into if you really want to be super in demand and earn." Anything pop to mind when I say that, Linda, in terms of the super in demand positions that you're looking for right now?
Well, it's a funny thing that you asked that, because anything with research and development, right? So Canada has become the research and development hub for 5G and cloud network security. So anything to do with network infrastructure, network security. So it's just, again, it's anything to do with engineering and IT related roles. A lot of our focus is on that. However, with Algonquin College, we have a ton of students from individuals from the tech writing, from human-centered designs. And so there's some new programs that Algonquin College has launched, and we've been able to recruit students, from there, and then have some, full-time students or full-time new grad opportunities come from those particular programs. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you for that. And Paul, let's come back to you. So when I think of this generational demand for skilled labor, in my mind, Algonquin, the relationship between the construction community, for example, Algonquin, has been quite successful, in building kind of the new building and green technology building. So this has been underway, I guess, is the point that I'm trying to make here, Paul. But tell me about your experience in working with Algonquin and trying to find new talent.
Yeah, Michael, that's a piece of it. Let me get to that in a second. I just thought I'd frame it a little bit like Linda did, on how involved we've been in the past and what that means to us. And just in our office here in Ottawa, I think I've got over 60 employees that graduated from Algonquin College, and that represents over 25% of our total staff. And that's great. And you know what, Mark mentioned something about proud graduates, and that just meant something to me when he said that, because part of our partnership with Algonquin is that we get the opportunity to go back and sometimes build projects on that campus, and we'll often align some of those graduates to go back and do it. And if there isn't something as good as that, to be able to go back and contribute to the school where you did your learning, and then contribute to the growth of that institution, is really represents proud graduates. But we've a student program. I echo what Linda said. Holy man, it works so well. It's like we do 4-month work terms, and it's like a interview for both the employer and for the employee. And boy, oh boy, when you hire a student, they like you've in 4 months you really know if it's a fit, and it's the retention value as we hire past students is incredible, and so we get a ton out of that. And I think we run 10 4-month placements every year out of Algonquin, and it has great returns. And then to your point, Michael, the last piece is I labeled it as it's kind of about an innovation, and construction is inherently pretty slow to innovate. And I think we openly admit our industry is probably one of the slowest to innovate, but it sure has begun to come a long way in terms of innovation when it comes to tech solutions. And that is so where we lean on the young students coming out of school and the programs in those school to bring that new innovative technology to our industry. And I think that's that knowledge. And like you said, the stuff about green construction and where our world is going today, that technical knowledge that they bring with them is huge to our industry.
And I want to give you an opportunity, Paul, as I did Linda, to talk about what some of the most in-demand jobs might be. So any thoughts on that?
I mentioned project managers and superintendents, people that want to be leaders of construction projects. And that's where our people eventually end up after they kind of learn how to build and learn the ropes, is we're looking for leaders. So that's one for sure. And secondly, I got to mention again that the trades, and Algonquin offers some great trade programs, and that's inherently where our industry is going to be the most stressed in a few years, is more people need to go into the trades, which presents a great opportunity for a career for lots of different people.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for that, Paul. And we're going to go to our last question for both of you. And it's really about, I guess, and it's been a little bit of an underlying theme in some of your answers here, but it's the importance in collaborating with a post-secondary institution. So, Linda, there might be companies out there that think that the way to recruit strategically is to post something on Indeed or even a newspaper help wanted ad or something like that. My sense is that's not kind of the cutting edge thinking anymore. So maybe you can speak to someone if they're not working with a post-secondary about the importance of that, Linda.
Yes, I actually refer to it jokingly as the post and pray methodology, but essentially, it's there's a lot more strategy in building, a future, our future pipeline of employees. So it's absolutely critical to partner with, our public school institutions. One is that, a lot of schools are working with industry partners to make sure that their course curriculums are up to date in terms of either relevant technology, relevant skills, education and training is, current to today's labor market demands and needs. It also, allows for innovation. As Paul had mentioned, even on our side of things, there is a lot of, new technology, which fosters even business roles or non-business roles, a lot of innovation, diversity of thought. It creates us as an employer to also have direct connection for talent, and it keeps talent within the Ottawa region because we are, essentially one of the largest employers within, Ottawa. But there's so many other aspects of things like the students that are coming out. They're our future leaders, so they bring in new ideas. They challenge the status quo, so they ask us as industry partners, some challenging questions with regards to demands like never seen before, like diversity, equity, inclusion, like is your organization sustainable in nature, or is your employer as you as an employer looking at culture, what does that look like? These are what the students are asking for when they're graduating and while they're being a student. And so I think for us to have that partnership with Algonquin College is really critical, essentially, to making sure that we're setting all of ourselves up for success in the future.
I'll pick up on one thing you said there, and then we'll come to you, Paul. So it's not only about, I think you said, Linda, about recruiting for who you need right now, but it's about a two-way open communication between, a private sector employee and a college in terms of what skills you might need in the future too, right? So it's not only about the here and now, it might be about the future. So thanks for making that point. And Paul, I just want to get your kind of general comment. We do have a couple questions, by the way, from our live audience, but give you a chance to chime in on that question, Paul, which is simply, why is a relationship with a post-secondary important to PCL?
Oh, well, the partnership's important. Like, we need to talk and we need to share with each other what we know, and from our side of the partnership. And we have to ask, so from our side, from the contractors or the employer side, it's so super important that the college knows what we need. I love what Linda said there. Lots of that stuff, I can echo it like that. Like I said, my last answer, that innovation and the new policies and the new directions in terms of the green construction and all that kind of stuff. Boy, oh boy, we need our institutions being on the front end of that. And we need those people to be fed into our industry with a lot of that technical knowledge, to mixed with some of those senior people that really know how to build. And together you create something that helps us move forward. Another thing Linda said, I got to echo, is we've got to keep our talent here. I said that as well as in the beginning, is we're not getting help from other parts of Canada like we might have at certain points in our history. That everyone else is busy too. So people aren't going to move here in my world to come build, because they got lots to build in their own cities. And then I think my last point, Michael, is what we love about students that come out of these programs is these programs tell them or teach them how to be self-starters, and they're driven and they want to be successful. And that's what I find. Those programs and the people that are successful coming out of Algonquin have proven something and show they want to prove something more. And that's the sort of people we want in our company, is those self-starters, those people that are driven to be successful, because those individuals are what make us successful as a whole.
Very good answer. And I can imagine what that's doing to your culture, just kind of reinforcing that new talent, Paul, coming in of people that want to push things to the next level. We don't have a ton of time, Linda and Paul, but we do have some questions. I'm just trying to decide which one to put on screen here. Maybe I'll throw this one at you quickly, Paul. I think we've touched on it mostly. Vanessa Balrose, I hope I get your last name right, is saying, in the trades, what are three that would be most in demand? Any quick answer to that, Paul? So in trades, three that would be most in demand. I heard you say project manager, and I heard you say kind of supervisor, but go on.
Yeah, but if you go into the trades, boy, oh boy, they're all going to be strained. And it's funny because you go through the life cycle of projects, and a lot of these jobs all start at the same time, and then the carpenters and laborers are strained. And as the jobs get, the structures get built, then we're going to see the plumbers and the pipe fitters and the electricians. And you work your way through all the different trades as the projects goes. And especially when there's such big projects in this market, they're going to be in. And unfortunately, but what is happening is a lot of these big projects are going to line up and happen at the same time and go through similar life cycles. So you'll see strain of almost every trade in this Ottawa market through the next 10 years, in my opinion.
Sounds like you can't go wrong if you're getting into the trades. You got a young person, you want to push that direction, they're going to do well. And there's lots of questions here, Linda, but I might throw this one at you. It's kind of 2 or 3 people are asking the question. So I'll give a shout out to Steve Georgopoulos, who's a frequent attendee at some of our events, but I'll put Maya's question up here on, and they're effectively asking about mentorship. So are there any mentorship programs that exist at a company like Nokia?
Yes. So every student is paired up with at least one mentor, essentially, when they join our organization. And then even as well too, as a new grad, there is mentorship opportunities. We also have access to coaching as well. So there's a number of coaches, across Nokia globally that you could pair yourself up with to find out information in terms of career development and career strategies within the organization. So mentorship is extremely important. Ultimately, as much as early talent is coming in with new ideas, innovation, challenging sort of basically the status quo. Again, as I think Paul had mentioned, to pair up with somebody who's experienced in senior is vital in terms of, that cycle, right, to build that future pipeline. So, yeah.
That's great. Linda and Paul, we're going to say goodbye to you here in a second. But just before we do, Linda, if someone's watching and wants to learn more about career opportunities at Nokia, any website you could throw out quickly to us?
Yes, we have our external careers website. It's off of Nokia.com essentially, and then you click on and there's the careers page that's there. And right now there's quite a few. There's a couple hundred that's posted there. And then for any students, that is, we have every 4 months we have cycles essentially, and so we're probably going to be hiring at least closer to 200 students for just the summer of 2023, essentially. But yeah, always hiring.
and Paul, fair to assume that if I Googled PCL careers or PCL jobs, that I'll find lots of links there too?
PCL.com, and we've got plenty listed on there as well.
All right. Well, listen, Paul and Linda, thanks so much for sharing your perspective on this issue from the private sector. Two great employers in Ottawa, and both of them really, Linda, not to underestimate at all what Nokia is doing, because as you mentioned, it is working on 5G, which is the future technologies, telecommunications. So anyway, a big thank you to you, Linda, and you, Paul. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your time. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
And as we move to our final part, we're going to bring Mark Savenkoff back on screen, and we're going to wrap the show pretty quickly here. But Mark, maybe what we'll start off by asking you is any reaction to what you just heard?
Great. Thanks, Michael. I think, what we heard was just so many good examples of ways that partnerships are making sense from everyone's perspective. So at the college, we have a lot of different types of partners, a lot of diversity there, and a lot of different types of partnerships. So whether it's involvement in things that were mentioned, cooperative education, work integrated learning opportunities, corporate training or business development, philanthropy, sponsorships, there's just so many opportunities. And what we're really excited by and interested in is working with each partner to decide on what's going to make the most sense, both for them and for our students as well.
It really does seem like the solution, if I can put it that way, to talent, because we all kind of bemoan this. We can't find talent. We can't find talent. Well, the reality is you need to work at it, right? And part of the ways you work at it is you have a big, important strategic relationship with Algonquin. So we're going to wrap up here in a minute, Mark, but I want to give you an opportunity to talk and emphasize how you feel that Algonquin College grads are work ready.
Thanks, Michael. And, picking up on your point, I think we all need to work at it and we need to work with one another. And I think that's some of what we heard about here today. So whether it's the academic programs that we offer, whether it's the focus on that hands-on learning experience, we are confident that our graduates can meet the needs of the employers of industry and ultimately make a big difference in our communities.
Good. And we are at the, in fact, we're a little in overtime here. So thanks for our audience for sticking with us. We're going to bring up some of our takeaways. So if you're watching here today and you're trying to organize your thoughts, and let's bring that slide on screen. And what are some of your final thoughts as we wrap up here, Mark?
Well, I just want to thank Michael, everyone for their time, and to everyone for listening in. I would say if there's anything that stood out to anyone about that perhaps they'd like to learn just a little bit more about, just invite everyone to have that conversation with us, to reach out. And I know our team is very excited about whether it's renewing past partnerships, whether it's building on the strength, or starting anew. We want to meet our industry and community partners where they're at as well. So invite everyone to reach out to us. We've got an email address set up to be able to quickly respond to inquiries. So partnerships@algonquincollege.com, and look forward to starting or continuing the conversation.
Yeah, let's bring that slide back up to our producer. We'll just take a look at that email address. So if you're watching here today and you want to reach out to Mark and his team, partnerships@algonquincollege.com. Thank you, Mark. I want to thank you for everything that Algonquin College is doing in our city. The post-secondaries, man, they are like fundamental to the future of our city. And we should consider ourselves blessed in Ottawa to have so many of them and so many working to better our community. So I want to thank you on behalf of the business community for all the great work that's happening.
Thanks, Michael.
All right. Hope to see you soon, Mark, live in the flesh at an event. Yeah, great to see you. Hope to see you soon. All right. As we're wrapping up here, let me just sign off. I want to remind people watching that you can visit our website, and I'll give you some news on the website here just in a second. To visit our website, there is regularly updated stories throughout the day. The news on the website is, and this only happens about twice a decade, obj.ca, which is our main digital platform, was relaunched this morning. And I won't go into all the details here, but go check it out. It's very easy to find, obj.ca. Also, I want to put a little emphasis on our daily email newsletter sent Monday to Friday, OBJ Today. I know all of us have lots of emails, but this one's great because it summarizes everything that happened in business that's important to you. So you can look at one email, maybe take 60 seconds, 30 seconds, and you'll, I think you're going to save your time and stay informed at the same time. Reminder that you can follow us as well on social media. Our LinkedIn channel is one of the biggest in the city, so check that out. And for those of you watching on YouTube, do us a favor. The number of YouTube subscribers, which is a hard number to get up there, is increasing and increasing. So hit subscribe. That's the red button. Hit the little bell icon. And if you do that, you'll get a notification on your phone or computer when we're live with this. That does bring us to the end of the show. So I want to thank you for watching today, and thank Algonquin College for sponsoring this discussion. We really appreciate it. I think these are some of the fundamental issues that are important to the development of our city. So thank you for watching. This will be available in replay. So if you need to share it with someone, you can do so on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. That's all the time we have for today. I'll bid you adieu. Bye-bye. Stay well.